This full-time review show is brought to you and supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental, and also by Craig International, who wish to thank all their suppliers and customers and wish them all a very Merry Christmas and the very best for the year 2024. Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to the review show, the full-time review show here on Ali Beg ABTV on YouTube. So if you're watching for the very first time, you are more than welcome. Thank you for tuning in. This is a show where I basically look back on our narrow win against Livingston last night at Pittodrie. So we've got plenty coming up on the show tonight. Going to be hearing the thoughts of Barry Robson very shortly. I've picked out a couple of his quotes from his presser last night. I've also put together some quotes from Dave Cormack after the recent Super League ruling, which could have a huge impact on our club going forward in terms of a financial side of things. We're also going to be hearing from trainee reporter from hugely popular local site Aberdeen Sport, Rory joins me to look back on last night's game and also to look ahead to the Dundee game on Saturday. I will also read out all of your thoughts and comments which you left on social media in the past few hours. So we'll gather your thoughts as well. So a very warm welcome. Let's crack on with things. So obviously, we got over the line last night, but only just. It wasn't the best of performances, particularly in the first half, because I thought in the first 25 minutes we just really struggled to get into the game, but we got another come from behind victory, which shows plenty of endeavour and spirit within the camp. So full-time score from Pittodrie last night, 2-1. So let's just quickly remind you of the starting 11 that Barry went with. So he started off with a three at the back, with Richard, Angus and Stefan. James McGarry playing further forward alongside Graham Shinney, Leighton Clarkson and Nicky Devlin. Dante sort of patrolled the midfield area and sort of floated in between, playing almost that number 10 role and then sort of playing slightly deeper as well. I thought he was our man of the match last night. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. And long may it continue with Duke, who seems to be getting back to his old form, and of course Bojan, who scored our two vital goals, who continues to be an absolute sensation for us. Weren't his two goals absolutely magnificent? I thought his header for the equaliser, to get that amount of power and to get it in an area of the goal which is almost impossible for a goalkeeper to save, was absolutely outstanding. And I thought the second goal, again, superbly worked. A phenomenal ball across the park from Leighton Clarkson to Duke, who just ran amok, got the ball in, and Bojan finished with aplomb. Two absolutely magnificent goals last night, and delighted that we were able to get over the line, because I must admit, when we went 1-0 down, I did absolutely fear the worst. So let's just very quickly remind you where the result left us in the table. So we climbed up to 8th position. So on 19 points, it's our 5th league win of the campaign. Obviously, we face Dundee next on Saturday at Dens Park. So we have an opportunity to go above Dundee and then really start kicking on towards these top 6 places. Just let me drag in the match stats while you're just quickly flicking through the table. So I'll grab Barry's post-match as well. So let's get Barry's post-match on first. So this is what he had to say. Getting the win was all that mattered tonight. We probably started a bit slowly, but we grew into the game and we showed resilience when we went behind. This was an important win, and from here, we need to get our heads down and get the points to move up the table before the break. We need to work hard as a team. We stick together, and we will have to try and perform to the best level we possibly can until the break comes. So that's what Barry had to say about the game last night. Just let me bring in the match stats for you so you can have a quick look at them. I've got to be honest, there was a couple of things that sort of slightly perturbed me about last night's performance. So have a look at the corner kick count, for example. So we only won one corner throughout the game to their three, which is obviously extremely disappointing considering we're the home team. 11 shots each at goal, 6 for us on target, 4 for them. We enjoyed 59% of possession to their 41% of possession. So, look, overall, the win was the most important thing, and that was, particularly when we went to a back four, I thought we really started to play football. And when Shaden Morris came on, we started to get width with obviously Duke on the other side. And I think that really started to make the difference for us. And this is where I really hope Barry, going forward, which I now discuss with Rory, that he will have a 4 across the back line as his preferred option. So that's what I would personally like to see. So let's get Rory on from Aberdeen Sports, who was at the game last night. We discussed the game last night, and we also looked ahead to the Dundee game on Saturday. Here's Rory Britton.
Pretty dire opening 20, but I don't pin that entirely on Aberdeen. I think that was both teams sort of feeling each other out, getting a feel for the game. But Aberdeen, it's become a little bit of a worrying theme where it's been a bit of a slow start. And then eventually Livy get the opening goal, and you suddenly think, oh God, they've got another comeback to try and mount here. And you do kind of wonder if these slow starts are really becoming a bit of a problem because there's been so many games where it's felt like they've been sluggish and then they've needed some sort of moment of magic to get back into it. They got it. They got a really good cross in from Devlin to Miovski to head in the equaliser. And that then swings the momentum back. It kind of came at a good time, getting it an equaliser sort of just before or in the minutes up to half time. That was kind of crucial if they wanted to get something out of it. Second half, again, a little bit like the Rangers game at the weekend, where it's suddenly, they're both coming out with a bit more of an urgency about them, and it's kind of looking like Aberdeen are either going to have to find another moment of magic or let the game run away from them because Livingston kicked it up a gear, but they got their second goal, which was massive. Again, Miovski's just been so good for this team at pulling them out of situations, and they managed to see their way through it in the end. And it wasn't the prettiest game of football. It's not going to be a long lasting memory, but it was a good example of this side grinding it out, getting it done. But they've got to do something about some of these sluggish starts because it's risky.
I thought we looked much better, particularly sort of in terms of width, when we went to a straight back four. And I wish Barry would play this system more often, I have to say. What do you think?
Totally agree. Playing with the back four, it's looked like they've been able to sort of really pull teams open and get these really clear cut chances going. I don't know how many games it's going to take of seeing this side struggle with a back five to realize that, maybe this is on me. Maybe I need to get out of my ways and I need to accept that going with a back four is going to function better. But yeah, they just came on leaps and bounds by swapping it up a bit. And I don't, for me personally, I've become so big a fan of things like the 4-3-3 that we've seen people like Guardiola and Klopp and all that mastering. And I'm a really big fan of just giving it some being attacking, getting forward. And I've never really seen that work with Aberdeen playing in a back five. And I just, it's if they had lost to Livingston, then I don't know if that is a big enough defeat to make them finally kill it off. But I'm hoping that because of the scare they had again last night of possibly losing to a team that've got 11 points out of the first 4 or 5 months, I'm hoping that's enough of a scare to make them realise that we just can't keep doing back five formation because they're just so much better when they go to four, and the difference it just makes across the team, it's night and day.
Mm.
So I hope it gets binned off, but yeah, he seems to like being a bit stuck with his ways and how he wants to do it, I think.
Yeah. Next up, trip to Dens Park on Saturday to face Dundee, who are obviously doing very well under Tony Dock. Um, it's a difficult one to call, isn't it? Because they are playing very well. It's going to be a tricky game. I just hope again we set up in the right way, which gives us the options to go forward, have width. We can see it by getting balls into the box how dangerous Bojan is, and he's just going to lap it all up. So, just quickly, give me your thoughts on how you see that game going.
Um, of so I've kind of been looking at it as the run after the final of the 5 games they've got, where you've had Livy, Dundee next, Motherwell, St Mirren, Ross County.
Yeah.
This and St Mirren are the two that I have felt they're the biggest problems for Aberdeen, because St Mirren have been doing really, really well. Dundee have come up and I think surprised a lot of people, because I think a lot of folk were thinking they were going to pop up and just be stuck in this relegation battle. But Tony Docherty is doing really, really well. And, this, going to Dens Park away, that should be a stadium that Aberdeen should be comfortable with. Based on some of the hit and miss afternoons we've had this season, I don't know if you can really call Dens Park comfortable. But you would like to think that with the team that Aberdeen have compared to Dundee, you would like to think they should be able to see it out. Maybe not running off 4-5-0 happy days, but even just grinding out 1-0 and getting the points back up the road, happy Christmas. But
Mm.
yeah, I just think the way Dundee are going, I don't think it feels odd saying it wouldn't be a bad result to take a point, but it is. But it in some ways it almost isn't. Shouldn't be dropping points to Dundee, but at the same time, with the way that Aberdeen have gone this season and the way Dundee are flying, might be the best worst case scenario possible,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally understand. All right, mate. Listen, thank you so much for jumping on. It's lovely to see you as always, and have a very Merry Christmas.
You too, Ali. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Bye bye. My thanks to Rory Britton. Right, just before I read out some of your comments, let's just bring you up to speed with obviously the big news that came out of football today. So the court's Grand Chamber has ruled that UEFA and FIFA acted against EU competition law when blocking the formation of a European Super League back in 2021 and then seeking to sanction the clubs involved. The A22 group at the centre of the Super League proposal has now unveiled its new vision for both the men's and women's football. For the men's game, this would see a 3-tier league setup featuring 64 teams playing at least 14 games each. And while there would be relegation and promotion into the competition, Dave Cormack believes that there will be further changes. So Dave went on his social media account today, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and this is what he actually had to say in response to that statement that came out. So he said, "This ruling will most likely change European football forever. This will be the Trojan horse towards a European Super League and ultimately cross-border leagues. Because when the biggest clubs leave their national leagues, the commercial value for the remaining teams will plunge. As usual, in Scotland, we have slept, walked our way into this without any discussion." So, obviously, make of Dave's statement what you will, but this could obviously have huge implications on our football club going forward, particularly with the already huge financial gap between Celtic and Rangers and the rest of us. So I guess at this stage, all we can do is watch this space and see how things develop going forward. But, just a personal opinion, I think it's hugely disappointing all round. Right, let's Let's get your comments. We'll finish off tonight's show by reading out all the comments that you left on my social media pages about last night's game. So Kevin Turner came on. Hi, Kevin. I hope you're well. Hate to be negative, but first half was murder. No width up top, no creativity in midfield, and too much sideways and backwards passing. He went on to say, fast forward to 60 minutes, we go to 4-3-3, and what a difference. The shackles were off. Please use 4-3-3 as a default setting, Barry, he says. Murray Wright also reiterates this point. Surely 4 at the back from now on. Come on, lads. Win at Dens on Saturday and climb this league. Donkey writes here. Hi, Donkey. We started to show more urgency after going a goal behind. I cannot understand why we've not seen a full 90-minute performance from the team. I don't think you're alone, mate, with your sentiments. Simon Roy. Hi, Simon. How are you? It was a good result, but Barry is still too defensive-minded for me. Anderson should have scored when he was through. Still not sure what Shinnie brings to the table at the moment, but you see Bojan encourage the guys to go forward with him when he attacks. But to be honest, the way the coaching staff has set us up, it will be hard to keep Bojan as we play negative and defensive football. He goes on to say, also Clarkson needs to go forward. He seems to pass the ball back or sideways instead of going football possession. Means nothing with no shots on goal. Stuart Hepburn has said, 2 very good goals. Early parts of the game was very poor though. Jim Balfour has said, keep the ball on the deck, pass more sensibly and faster. I like the strategic use of hoofball to win throw-ins from which we get the ball on the deck further up, but we need a range of methods so we can mix it up. He finishes off by saying, judgment of when we've been fouled needs tweaking and improved too. Can't just blame the referees, but too many moves wasted by marginal contact being exploited poorly for no one free kick and lost possession. Create chances, make the fouls necessary. Paul Donaldson has said, first hour was poor, even though it was a brilliant first goal by Miovski. As soon as we changed the formation after around an hour and stopped hoofing the ball, we looked like a totally different team. I don't know why Barry doesn't start us with the back 4, but if Bruce Anderson had scored the chance he should have scored, then we would have been in big trouble. Mark Smith has said, to summarise, good comeback, victory over potentially tricky opponents. 6 points, 2 straight come from behind home wins. What's not to like? Completely agree. David Gold has said, need to be more clinical with our opportunities. Morris had a good couple of chances. One where he put it straight at the keeper. The second where he should have squared it to Miovski. Completely agree. Duke did well setting up Miovski's second. David thinks that Miovski was class overall. Looked sharper and fitter than on Sunday. Livy aren't the same opposition though. He finishes off by saying, it was a sloppy goal to concede. McDonald caught out. Has to do better in those situations. Still was good to see him getting game time though. And Dante Polvaro also did very well. Gordon Wallace. Hi Gordon. We perform no better, no worse than we have all season. We're a poor side who can barely string 3 passes together going forward and who lose soft goals week in, week out. Back-to-back wins versus Hearts and Livingston is more of a reflection on how poor those teams are as well. Derek Griffiths is here. Hi, Derek. He was very uncomfortable when Livy took the lead and thought, oh no, not again. As I was thinking another killy result. Thank God for Bojan. We cannot risk losing him in January, especially to another Scottish side. The other thing is, why don't we play with Vinny and Duke and Morris on the wings much more? So Barry came out recently and said that, look, Vinny's doing very well in training, but he's down the pecking order and there are players who are in front of him. So unless, he continues to improve in training and give Barry a real selection headache, I just can't see him getting game time, and I think he will be moved on in January. Chris Clark has said, something I've said from very early in the season, we need to play with 2 wide attackers up top to give us options going forward. Lo and behold, we go to 3 up top, and within 5 minutes, Duke did more than he's done all season. We score a goal and could have scored another 2 or 3. So blatantly obvious we should be playing with dedicated attacking wide players to be a real threat going forward. It's been this way. It's not been like this all season. It's time to drop this 5-3-2 or 3-5-2 formation and go with 4-3-3. But watch this. Saturday at Dens, it will be 5 at the back again and no outball on the wing, and expect Devlin McGarry to cover entire flanks. Mike Hughes has said, there's the makings of a very good team there. Unfortunately, I just don't see the coaching team getting the consistent best out of them. It's going to be a frustrating next 18 months with Barry Robson managing. Mark Smith has said, offensively, okay. Defensively, still a worry. Anderson should have scored. I'm really not clear what Shinnie is adding right now. His distribution was terrible. Duke, Miovski, Devlin, Polvaro, good. Clarkson sits far too deep. And he finishes off by saying that he's hoping Shaden Morris and Dante Polvaro start against Dundee at Dens Park. Right, a couple of comments came in on Twitter. Joe Lewis has said, no issue with going 3 at the back against proper teams, but hopefully Barry finally realised it doesn't work against teams who will sit in against us. Baz has said, win is a win. Need to get away from the back 5, need to be on the front foot. Miovski keeping us above the parapet. Mark Smith has said, personally, I'd stick with a back 4 and get Polvaro or Barron in there to help Shinnie. Play Clarkson further forward and pray Miovski doesn't get injured. He seems to be Robson's get out of jail free card. Second half ball was on the deck, and what a difference. Jeff Moran has said we should have a best starting 11 to beat most teams with our squad. Can Barry Robson find that consistently and not just rely on Bojan like last night? And finally, Richard Wilkinson has said still not good enough. Right, there we go. So, just a gentle reminder for you, a little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'd be absolutely delighted if you would please consider it. We're only 12 subscribers away now from 3,000. It won't cost you anything. All you have to do is press the little red button and you will continually get notifications of when shows appear on the channel. Right, we're all done. Thank you so much for watching the review show as always. So I'll be back for a countdown to kickoff preview show, which I will probably record on Friday night, because here in Europe is a Christmas Day. So we celebrate Christmas Day here on the 24th. So yeah, just keep an eye on the social media pages of when the next show will come around. And all that's left to say basically is, a very Merry Christmas to you all. And I'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week.